Hello, welcome. It's Neil Dugan here. Welcome to the 30-Day Depression Challenge. And today we're looking at the nitty-gritty question of I'm depressed. What do I do right now? So first of all, what you need to do is actually recognize the symptoms. So you need to be actually sure that you are in a state of slow or deep slow, so that you actually know you're depressed, and not in some form of anxiety, or for that matter that you might not be in some form of being asleep, so which would be another type of issue altogether. So firstly, you're going to be extremely listless. You won't have any motivation. Things that would ordinarily make a person happy will no longer make you happy. You'll constantly be feeling sad. You're very likely to be blaming yourself continuously. And it's extremely likely that there will be some sort of complicating factors in terms of your body. So you'll actually see the depression expressing itself in your body. This can be in a number of ways, but very, very commonly it would be digestive issues. So extremely common, people having digestive issues, lower digestive tract, but also small intestine as well, would be classic symptoms. And of course your appetite is likely to be completely all over the place as well. So you might either be suffering from obesity, but equally you could also be having absolutely no appetite at all. So you just absolutely don't feel like eating. So okay, you've ticked a number of boxes there with those things that I've said. What happens next? Well, the very next thing you need to do is actually analyze what thoughts are going through your mind. So I gave an exercise a few videos ago, quite a few videos ago now, this idea of the early I am, where you wake up and you actually have a look at what the persistent thoughts are. That's a cracking example. It's a really good example of what somebody can actually do at this point to identify these persistent thoughts, these persistent concepts, these persistent ideas, persistent belief systems, persistent memories as well. So any of those things which are related to that sort of concept level type of stuff, you need to go find them. As we talked about on that earlier video, find out what the triggers are, start recognizing those triggers. Then following on from that is to identify what are the surface feelings. So the first feelings that you're actually aware of, the first layer of the feelings that you're aware of, dig into them and strip it down a little bit and actually identify what kind of fears are actually sitting behind those feelings, because I can guarantee you that there's going to be fear actually sitting in there at some sort of depth inside of all of this. Okay, so we've identified our fears, we've identified the surface feelings, so all those feelings, we've identified the triggers, we've identified the ideas. What do? Well, we've got to do more. What we have to do now is we actually have to identify what the distractions are. So how are we distracting ourselves from actually seeing this? How are we distracting ourselves from engaging or confronting what's really sitting below all this? So this would be the fear level material. How are we distracting ourselves from that fear? Well, we're getting close now. The trick right at this point is to actually ask yourself the really hard question, just like we did when we were talking about the idea of the mania. But we've got to ask ourselves the question, how comfortable are we with staying where we are at the moment? Are we happy to actually stay where we are? What comfort do we derive from it? Do we really want to actually escape out of it at this point? In a funny way, it's likely that you're also pretty comfortable with being fearful as well. So you need to identify what the comfort level is around the fear, what the comfort level is around the distractions, and what the comfort level is around the depression. So has the depression become so potent that it's how you describe yourself, it's how you really make sense of your world, is that I am this depressed person. You need to have a bit of a dig around at this point and identify what is the part of you that's seeking a different outcome. So you need to have a look for what part of yourself is wishing that they were no longer actually in this depressed state, because that's the part that we're going to go and work with. Now, if you've taken the time to take some notes while this video has been running, perhaps pausing the video and taking some notes, and you're actually seeing a bit of a catalogue of these ideas, the belief systems, the emotions, the distractions, the triggers, all that kind of stuff. If you've actually got a bit of a catalogue of that ready at the moment, then what I'd like you to do is actually ask your practical mind, so the real common sense, real practical part of yourself, talk to it and actually say, how do we feel about all of this proposal? How do we feel about what's going on here? Is this practical? Is this common sense? And if we allow an emotional trigger to come in and say, I no longer want to actually be in this cycle, and my practical mind is actually saying at this point, coming in alongside that and actually saying, you know what, I no longer actually want this, I'm making a decision, I'm actually consciously making a decision, then what you need to do is actually say it out loud, you need to write it down, you need to commit it to yourself, I no longer choose to do this. So this would be described as conscious decision time. And it truly is the case. You have to consciously make this decision about this. And once the conscious mind is made up its decision, then the intention is clear, and away your entire homeostatic system, this whole self-balancing, self-healing system, will begin moving in the direction of that intention. Now the reason it'll go in the direction of this intention is because you so well understand at this point everything that's sitting behind it. You understand the entire framework. There's no need for there to be any concern around actually following the intention, because the intention is so well set in the understanding, the emotional confidence around what's going on. So here's the tricky piece. We've got all these distractions going, we've got all these thoughts going, we've got all of this turmoil going. What you're going to need to do at this point is be silent. So the answer to actually coming out of depression is through silence, and this is what I did the cold turkey way, and obviously with the way that we're talking about here, it's a lot more refined and a lot more easily accessible, but being silent is the number one trick to actually employ at this point. And out of that, of course, comes the peace. So the peace will flood into you on the basis of all of these distractions, all of that unconscious suffering actually being released through the silence, the unconscious suffering, the belief systems, the feelings that go with it, they will all be being released during the silence, and the peace will flood in to take the place of all of the suffering. So in this process of silence, allow the divine to come in and support you, and through that connection, allow all of this to be released, allow this release to occur. So look, I hope you found that useful and interesting. Obviously in the coaching that we do, we take you far deeper into these things, but nonetheless, if you actually follow steadfastly what I'm just actually saying there, then you'll be able to achieve these things yourself, given time and effort and so on. So I really hope that you found that useful. If you have, please like and share this video, and tomorrow we're going to be looking at the anxiety phase and what to do exactly if you find yourself in the anxiety phase. So thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.